Well, next up, we have a presentation on the proposed amendment to the current Article 9 Energy Performance Contract between Navitas and the town of Webster on the wastewater treatment plant project. In comes Art Patron and Greg Canale from our town of Webster, and also Dennis Cluck from Navitas.
If I can take a moment, I'd like to introduce Angus Sunday, who's the newest member of our construction team, who's implementing the project down at the resource recovery facility.
Just like that, I hope.
No, dressed up for you tonight. Looks good too.
Good. Okay, we're back again. As you all know, we've started construction at the wastewater treatment plant. We're well underway, and as part of our planned progress, if you will, we have an amendment, and we're to that point of construction. We want to share that with you. So the reason we're doing the amendment is to really continue efficient delivery of the project. We've talked about elongated lead times on equipment, electrical components, things like that. And also with Fairlife coming in, we've really done a pretty good job of simultaneous construction and design. And that is just ongoing, and will be ongoing through the spring. Correct. So this amendment will keep us on target and really on schedule. So just a little look back on the project, a little project timeline. We started project design in March 2022 through April of 23. In May of 23, Fairlife selected Webster, and really throughout that design portion and through May and even until now, they've been a big factor in how we move forward and how we manipulate our construction sequences. June 2023, we broke ground, and we also, again, continued to work on the Fairlife impact and how that's going to impact Rick and his team, and how we work at the plant. September 2023, we confirmed those impacts of Fairlife. Here we are in November with the amendment. And the second amendment is scheduled to be in front of you in spring of 2024. And I will turn it over to Dennis.
So what I wanted to do is take a couple minutes and give you a sense of where the work is with regards to the contract that we have now and then the amendment. So what I want to do is give you a sense of the work that at that point will be under contract, and then what remains that would then come in the amendment for the springtime. So some of the work here, the work that is in the red boxes is the work that is under contract. So just sort of walking through it from the headworks and the service building. So all of the work all of the improvements in those two facilities will be included in the contract at that point, along with also with the primary clarifiers. You'll see in the upper left, the relocation of the village sewer line is a requirement because of the Fairlife work. I'll show you later, we're going to be building a fourth aeration basin to that location, and we need to move that village line so there's a place to put that fourth tank. So that work is in here as well. Art and Rick, anything you want to add with regards to this piece of the work?
So just as sort of a frame of reference, that village effluent line, for easiest terms, it runs underneath that north-south road there. And that's why it needs to be relocated. The fourth aeration basin will exactly match what we have. It'll just be to the east of the three that are there.
So moving over to some of the other parts of the plant, the expansion and upgrades to the administration building will all be under contract at that point. And then up there in the solids handling building, there's all of the facility improvements are in there, and we are starting some of the work on the process side, the demolition of the existing equipment, the work on the secondary digester tank, The work in that building was pretty substantially affected by Fairlife, so that work is in the design stage at this point. And then on the back side of that plant is where the new gravity thickener will be located. And then I also have there's also some site-wide work that's underway. Under contract already is the purchase of all the major equipment for processes, long lead time items. We're in the process of procuring those. In addition, the fiber optic network loop at the site, lighting, and then electricity and natural gas needs to be, the service to be upgraded because of the new loads and facilities at the plant. Art and Rick, anything to add here?
What? I mean, we can just touch on, with major process equipment. We've already ordered bar screens, the Beast receiving station. They're all measuring last week and this week for all the primary components. There's just numerous pieces and parts.
By the end of the year, we will have ordered the dryer, the new anaerobic digester tank, the dewatering equipment. Nearly every piece of the major equipment will be purchased by year end, I think with the exception of the aeration blowers, which are still being designed and sized at this time. And then up at the front of the plant, this is where all the new facilities are going. The demolition of the existing trickling filter. The large metal dome is already gone, if you go down to the plant and see it. And then up in that area is where we'll be building the new high-strength waste receiving station, the dry product storage. And at this point, we'll be under contract for the new biosolids and outside waste facility for the building itself and the foundation. So part of trying to keep us efficient is that there's still about 3 months of design work to do on that. That'll happen during the winter time, so that then when winter is done, we can move right into the construction of the building, and that times out nicely for when the major equipment arrives. We'll have a building ready to start to set equipment. And then the last thing I'll point out there is that on the left-hand side, that relocation of the electric utility line, you can see that that's above ground lines that are there. They need to be moved and actually buried so we have room for the road to be relocated and the new primary anaerobic digester. So that work is underway as we speak. Martin, Rick, anything?
And I think a lot of these things in this amendment allows us to get ready to transition from old operation to new operation. So a lot of this stuff sets us up so it's a smoother transition with the new equipment to the new process.
Is the trickling filter going to be replaced, or is it just you're not going to use it?
So the trickling filter is entirely demolished. So it's gone. All of the rock and foundation will be removed. In essence, in that location, the new dry product storage building will be there, and where the dryer facility is located, the new solids building there. Both of those are their foundations will be in that place. So that rock and foundation from the existing trickling needed to be removed.
Charlie, on that, I think the question you're asking was, that was never really a process for us anyways. It was our backup for the village.
Okay.
So it's not needed
I just,
anymore.
that's really what
Yes.
basically my question is.
Thank you.
Is it something you need to replace? Okay.
So with that, so that's a sort of a high-level highlight of what we'll now be under contract to do, and I want to now just take a big picture of what's remaining, because there's work we have under design at this point that the current schedule is that we'll be back in the springtime, currently on our schedule, roughly the April timeframe for the final amendment, which would have us fully under contract for all of the improvements at the resource recovery facility. So back to these slides again. The largest piece of work in this part is actually in the aeration system. So that fourth basin that we talked about, and then literally all of the infrastructure across all the aeration basins. The piping, the headers, fixing the concrete, putting in new diffusers. It's in essence, all of it is being fixed. Along within the chem blower building, the new blowers, the new headers, new heating system, electrical infrastructure that's getting pulled in. All of that work is what we're in the process of finishing design on, and that will move into the spring.
And just one thing on that, Dennis, is there's another reason that this sequence fits into the schedule is because if we were to do the aeration first, we're going to have those tanks down, clean them out, but yet we haven't done the headworks yet. So all that stuff is still coming through because of the old infrastructure. So we do the headworks first, front line of defense, then the primaries clean those out. So all that stuff stays clean as we move forward.
And then back up at the head of the plant here, so as I talked about before, we're currently under contract to build the biosolids and outside waste facility for the shell. In the spring contract, it would be setting all the equipment, all of the building systems. We've also got a waste equalization tank to put in, and the anaerobic digester and flare are currently being designed now, because that's part of the calculations of the new loads that will be coming in, both from the town and from Fairlife, so that sizing is underway. And then on the site-wide improvements, really think of it as it's the remaining work to have a full project done. Stormwater, paving, hydrants, site restoration, all of those things that then we have under contract that when the work is done, we can finish everything up nice and cleanly. Art and Rick, anything to add?
No, I would absolutely echo what Rick was saying, that, this is built in such a way that, we're starting from front to back, and, especially with the bar screens and primaries and so forth, it's definitely going to save some time and some dollars, because we're not going to have to re-clean all those tankers.
So in essence, that's our high-level overview of the work we have now and the amendment, and where we'll be going in the springtime. So with that, any questions?
Would that already build in with the cost of you already have set aside for the project, or is it additional?
So the dollars that are coming into the amendment are already part of the bond resolution that the board has passed.
Yeah, no,
It's a great question.
yeah, good question.
Thank you.
Warms my heart having that question, the money question. Love it. It's funny because, anybody that's watching this live or watches a tape of it, the cynic in me says, well, why are we amending this contract? Why not a new contract? Is this additional money? Is the town all of a sudden? No. The most recent bond resolution was in July, to I think 80 million. We had done the original contract at around 40 million because that's what we were bonded for. We didn't know if Fairlife was coming to town. We knew we needed to start moving, supply chain issues and all that. We robustly went through that in workshops and town board resolutions. Once Fairlife came to town and we moved in July to go into the 80 million, that also butted up to our, I think, $35 million in aggregate that the town applied for in grants pertaining to this wastewater facility. Off the top of my head, I should know this, 20 million approximately for WIA, 10 million for WQIP, and another 5 million for one of those acronyms. That's the one I can't remember. So, and I think based on at least historically, those timelines of when they approve those grants or give answers on them, it probably will be before the calendar year end. So really what they're asking for on this amendment is just moving from the 40 million to some number 50 to 60 million within our already bonded 80 million. But it's the parts that make sense for what they have to move forward on now. Interestingly enough, another question that maybe some of you people would have, why are we doing the second amendment in April? Why aren't we just amending before $80 million now? There's several reasons for that, but to me, the most obvious highlights are we are still working out how much of the increase from 5 million gallons a day capacity to 7 million gallons a day capacity is going to be picked up, paid for by Coca-Cola Fairlife. We also, believe it or not, we need to know what kind of grant awards we get. Because like I said, there's 3 different grants that I just described. And interesting enough, and I wish Paul Adams was here, our finance director, because there is a very definitive possibility that we could, and this is for example purposes only, for math only, we could get $10 million awarded on one of those acronym grants But because the golden rule, they who have the gold make the rules, the state department giving that grant may say you need to do certain work with WMDE, or am I saying that correctly? Too many acronyms, which might add $1 million cost to the project. We need to know all of that before we do the final ribbon around it amendment for the contract. I don't think any of us would cry a tear if we netted $9 million in that scenario, $10 million in grant, but it entails an extra $1 million to the project because of, and obviously the town board would be made apprised of that all the way along. So it's a fluid process, no pun intended. This does make the most sense. Patty Cataldi, our deputy town supervisor, is the liaison to sewer. She's not here tonight. She's been in all these conversations and meetings, and we probably have had 4 or 5 in the last month or 2 on this as to what was the appropriate components to put into this amendment, and which ones could wait until April to put a final ribbon on all this. So, at the risk of TMI, I like your slides better than my mouth running.
Super, yeah, I would agree with you. I mean, Charles, we would all like this to be done in one contract. Obviously, this is a lot of work for all the team, but honestly for you guys as well. But this absolutely makes sense to keep the project going, to deal with those the supply chain issues, and to meet our timelines. So this is, and I think we discussed this approach in a couple different fashions, and this is going to get us where we need to be. It's going to save us some dollars. It's going to save us some time.
In essence, it's the plan that we agreed upon in May when the Fairlife selection was made, and it's also at this point giving us the ability to continue to move forward efficiently, but at the same time give us time to do good design on the parts that have been affected from where we were before, and ensure that we're designing the systems that are going to give you the ability to meet the Fairlife need in the time frame that you need to have available. Because now that they're moving dirt out of that site, all of this is real now,
Yes.
so you do need to be ready with the schedules and the commitments you've made, and this allows us to make sure that happens.
And I'll make sure, because I'm like a broken record to our last presentation,